In the last episode, Aulo traveled to the location Mo spoke of. He used Fike and a grapple tool to reach an unknown plateau. The grapple tool proved useless, and Fike acted as the grapple instead. Aulo found an opening in the cliff wall that led to an enclosed space. He had found Traveler's Den. Indentations on the floor formed a map of Ioruun. Aulo found a strange group that was marked by carved silhouettes of people reaching for a geometric shape. He thumbed through the many tablets of information on Ioruun's flora, fauna, locations, and groups. One of the tablets had the same markings as the geometric shape, and Aulo learned of its unknown origin. He then noticed a mural on the wall. The mural detailed the story of light. After weighing the information he had just gained, Aulo knows what role he must choose. He needs to speak to Grub Mother. Fike and I arrive at Grub Mother's den. The meeting space is empty. I know Grub Mother is near because I see a soft green glow coming from her personal space. I call out for her. Avajun Triv. It's Aulo. Fike makes a strange noise. And Fike, I add. I hear faint mumbling and shuffling around. She responds in a flustered tone. A moment, Aulo. Fike decides to run circles around the room, and I watch from a resting position. After some time, a tired-looking man emerges from Grub Mother's personal den. The man addresses me. Aulo. He then reaches for my hand, and I trace a greeting. Lycon Treem. Lycon Treem is the leader in trade for the Junarith. He is responsible for all trade dealings with the Taunarith, the Quonarith, and the Cunarith. Lycon moves past me and leaves Grub Mother's den. I feel as though I walked in on something. Moments later, Grub Mother emerges. She extends a hand and I trace her greeting. I appreciate your waiting, Aulo. Lycon was here to discuss trade issues with the Taunarith. I don't entirely believe her, but I ask what is wrong. Disagreements on trade negotiations. But don't worry yourself. These matters usually sort themselves, she says dismissively. I was sure I would have to send for you. Actually, I've made my choice, Grub Mother. Her eyes perk. I'm pleased to hear it. I must train Rai. Grub Mother smiles. Where is this motive coming from? She asks. I was selected for a reason. I want to see it through. She doesn't need to be bothered with my personal motivations. I feel that you made the best decision, Aulo. The best decision for our group. How did Tokun respond to your choice? I haven't told him yet. You were the first to know. She glares with disappointment. I'm planning to speak with him. But no matter his response, my choice won't be swayed. That's fine, but I advise you speak with him soon. Better he hears from you than the others. I nod in agreement. Before we speak any further, I need to remind you that in accepting this role, you are risking yourself. You are aware that Jundrake are unforgiving beasts. I am aware. She continues. Training Rai is different than most other roles. You will not receive your marking or your title until Rain Tri deems you fit. If you are deemed unfit, well, we know how that ends. But I don't worry over your abilities, Aulo. You have proven yourself a time before. All matters being said, are you sure of your choice to train Rai? I am sure. She motions in acknowledgement. I will speak to Rain Tri, she says. But you must speak with your father. Word spreads quickly. I value, Group Mother. I plan to travel to him now. Fike and I move to the exit. One last matter, Aulo. I look back toward her. Be careful with your words. Fike and I travel to the most likely place to find my father. Rok Dun. Rok Dun is the center of all defensive operations. It is where my father enacts the majority of his role. Along the path, I think on my role decision. Being Rai involves traveling to the nesting grounds and retrieving eggs from overprotective Jun Drake, then caring for the eggs until hatch, and raising the surviving young to become massive beasts that tolerate our commands. I have only seen them from a distance, just close enough to make out their large reptilian frame, dwarfing their riders. Tokun never allowed me any closer, and I didn't need to be. The stories were enough. There is no power mightier than the Jun Drake. Other creatures have yet to rival them. My mother and the other travelers would not have been able to travel Irun without the protection of a Jun Drake. The Junarif have relied on their obedience for countless generations. It is concerning to learn that we hold so few. I am dreading the conversation with my father, but remind myself that his opinion lost its weight when he chose not to stand with me. He will be insistent on me training Rok. I realize that training Rok is a necessary role, but there is little room to shine above the rest. Unless I am to achieve Jun Drake Rider, that is. Patrolling the Jun Dun and escorting trade caravans. Except one does not learn to survive when being protected by a massive beast. One learns to survive when avoiding their jaws. Fike and I arrive at the central Rok outpost. A vertical arch marks the entrance. The outpost forms a sunken semicircle open to the canyon abyss. Barricades line the perimeter and encompass a large open space. In the center of the open space lay multiple hollowed-out carcasses, mangled beyond the point of recognition. I hear the sounding of a flute and notice many Roks standing silent on the edge of the abyss. I then move past the remains, careful not to inhale the terrible stench. One of the Roks drops a rulun full of liquid fire into the abyss. The Roks raise their Fekon weapons and send projectiles into the darkness below. When the projectiles meet the falling rulun, an explosion echoes off the canyon walls. I recognize one of the men as Motai. Motai Rok is one of my father's most trusted, and has the largest presence of all the Roks. He has been close with my father, siblings, and I for some time, but I am still intimidated by his massive frame. Motai, I say. He lowers his Fikon weapon and says, he breathes while stepping away from the line. I extend my arm, and he traces a greeting. What is the reason? I say as I gesture to the pile of rotting carcasses. Food. You are aware there is food at Taudun. He cracks a smile. I am learning to ride Jur Khan. Jur Khan needed motivation. Jur Khan is the largest Jundrag, longer than the length of 8 men. Fitting that Motai is training to ride. There is an uncomfortable silent moment. Have you seen Tokun? I ask. Always in Rokdun. He turns and points as he speaks. I have visited Rokdun many times, but Motai always feels the need to point. Make the right choice, Aulo. I show appreciation to Motai and extend my hand. He traces a farewell, and I move in that direction. Rokdun is burrowed into a smaller plateau just out from the central Rok outpost. A collapsible bridge connects Rokdun to the central plateau. Before the entrance, Fike perches on a stone pillar, as if he knows of the conversation to come. The entrance opens to a large room with a centered, elevated surface. The elevated surface illustrates a rough layout of the Zhendun. Tokun is leaning over the surface. He hears me approach and meets my glare. Aulo, what brings you? I stand in the entryway. I assumed a role. He stares at me for a moment, analyzing my body language. This is exciting to hear, he says as he walks over to greet me. I know you and Group Mother talked, I say in response. He stops, and his expression turns from excitement to dread. We did. I was hoping you spoke with me before you made the decision, but I interrupt him. I chose to train Rai. His eyes pin me to the stone wall. Aulo, training Rai was not an option. I asked Group Mother. She is allowing. Group Mother would not allow. You weren't chosen from youth. You are aware that I was chosen from youth. Why would she tell you these lies? I will speak with her. She and I made an agreement. You have no sway in the matter. Aulo, your meaning is outlandish. If this is about your Auns, train Rok, and I will allow you the time to gaze at them. I'm not Takai. I see through to your motives. You cannot accept that I stray from your vision. So you create paths I must follow, all while whispering influences to Group Mother's ears, and giving me the illusion of choice. Tokun moves around the elevated map, guided by thought and frustration. No, Aulo, you are not Takai. Your brother has respect for his father. Let this idea become lost. I will speak with Group Mother and remind her that Rai is no option. Tokun moves to the entrance. You were going to allow for exile. He stops and I continue. No longer stand with me. What if those were the last words I heard from you? Aulo, I had run out of options. I knew you wouldn't choose for exile. I was hoping my stance would nudge you in the right direction. But what if I chose for exile? Then you would have deserved your fate. Your son, I respond. No matter being my son, you refuse to assume a role, you face the consequences. But I thought you, if anyone, would understand. I align with her vision. You supported her. You say you loved my mother, yet you suppress all her qualities in me. And what good was my support? She's lost Aulo. Your mother is dead. And you are willing to lose me? I say with swollen eyes and a broken voice. If you insist on following her delusions, then you are already lost. There is a silent moment as I move toward the entrance. Facing away from him, I say, consider me already lost.